What's going on, Destination Devy fam? Welcome back to the station, Destination Devy, your best spot for all things Devy and Dynasty fantasy football. Now, I'm back. I'm your boy J. Rich, Jordan Richards. I'm back to deliver more groundbreaking information. Last week, I told you guys that Antonio Gibson could be a top 10 running back in 2021, and what happened? He was scoring not one, not two, but 3 touchdowns last week against the Cowboys. And what can I say? I guess in some ways, I made it happen. I willed it. I wanted it so bad. I put it out in the universe and bam! Gave it right back to me. Now, for some of you guys, I know you missed it, so let's go back and roll the tape. Now, I got someone new here for y'all. I want you guys to check him out, shout him out in the comments, say what's up. It's my new producer, Andy. I just hired him, so he's going to be the guy behind the graphics, make these videos look extra sweet. And so, right now, Andy put together a small little sequence for you guys, so check it out about my love for Antonio Gibson last week. Now, Andy, roll it. And you were my baby. Andy, what are you doing, man? Get your ass over here. Yo, boss, what's up? What you need? What did we talk about, man? What did we talk about? Do your job.
Oh, shoot. Oh,
yes, man. Antonio Gibson. I told you.
Oh, okay.
Just get back in the fucking chair and do your job.
I got you.
It's not that hard. It's so hard to get good help around here. Like, I swear to God, if you don't do your job, I'll send you back to Saskatoon where I found you. God damn. All right, now let's get into this Antonio Gibson highlight and then roll the intro and let's get into the video. Now, my second bold prediction is going to be at running back, and I'm going to go to Antonio Gibson. I think Antonio Gibson is going to be a top 10 running back in 2021.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
All right, so today we're going to talk about 3 players that I want you to not forget about going into next season. These 3 players had slightly forgettable seasons, but I don't want you to forget just how talented some of these players are heading into next season. So the first player I want to talk about is wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, or should I say free agent wide receiver Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay has been dealing with injuries all season long. It seems like we can't get a break with Kenny G. We know how good he can be. We know he's a deep threat. We know he averaged over 18 yards per reception last season. We know how talented he is, but he just couldn't get on the field. Kenny Golladay was wide receiver 9 last season, and honestly, he left a little bit on the field. He didn't see as much volume as we expect from a number 1 wide receiver, but in that terrible Detroit Lions offense, we can only ask for so much. Now, a unrestricted free agent, Kenny Golladay can go into the offseason and decide whether he wants to stay with Detroit and whoever will be the future head coach of the Detroit Lions now that Matt Patricia has been fired, or he can choose to move on to a more fruitful situation that will feature him as the number 1 wide receiver like he was in Detroit, but hopefully get him even more volume, even more opportunity, and an even higher touchdown ceiling. Now, right now, he's being drafted as wide receiver 15 according to DLF ADP. It's still a little bit low for me. As much as I love Calvin Ridley, as much as I love some of these young wide receivers, I do think that there is a tantalizing upside to Kenny Golladay, that there's just a lot of opportunity for him to unleash on the NFL. I like to view him almost like a DK Metcalf. He's a little bit slower, maybe not as strong, but he's definitely just as talented as getting down the field and getting open. He's a great jump ball receiver. He'd be an excellent asset for just about any NFL team that needs a number 1 wide receiver. I'm a truly big believer in Kenny Golladay, and I do think he's someone that we should not forget about. I could see him slipping into the 20s, even slipping into the late teens from 15 where he's at right now because of such a down season in the offseason. There's going to be an influx of rookies that are extremely talented that are going to be drafted ahead of Kenny Golladay. So if you can get him as a wide receiver 2, maybe it's a mid wide receiver 2, maybe even a late wide receiver 2, that to me is an absolute steal. An absolute steal like we view Keenan Allen, except Kenny Golladay is, he's a little bit younger. He's 27 years old, And so it's just, there's a lot more room to grow. He's in his prime. There's definitely a lot of room for Kenny Golladay to be an alpha wide receiver in the NFL. There's not a lot of guys that can do it as well as he can. He's just been struggling with injury, and it's going to come for him. There's going to be opportunity, and you're going to want to buy him in startup drafts and trade for him if you can on the cheap. The second player I want to talk about is Austin Ekeler, the running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Austin Ekeler is someone we were touting a bit in the offseason because of how talented he is as a pass catcher, but we weren't sure what we would see from him in the running game, and now, because of his injuries, he's been slipping down ADP even further. Coming into the season, he was still a reasonably high-priced running back, but because of everything that's been going on, he's fallen out of favor a little bit, and his very first game back, what happened? He led the team in rushing and receiving, and he got 16 targets. Let me say that one more time for everybody at home. 16 targets. That is an insane number. That is more than anybody else on the Chargers. Yes, it's only one game, but this is how good Austin Ekeler is. You have to get him the ball in his hands, and he will get it done for you. We were worried about Tyrod Taylor. We were worried about that coaching staff. But I think we're not worried about that anymore as long as they have Justin Herbert at the helm. Austin Ekeler will be a producing running back for the future. Even at RB18 right now, I do see a chance where he slips in drafts even further throughout the offseason. And for all we know, he could be in the RB20, at which point I think he's an absolute smash play. If you get a really high-priced running back early and then you choose to go wide receiver running back, I think Austin Ekeler is the perfect RB2 to have on your squad if you choose to go wide receiver with your second pick. I'd be targeting Austin Ekeler everywhere in my startup drafts because he has a secured contract, he has a secured role, and clearly there is no talent on that offense coming for his job. He is everything we want in a running back, and he can catch passes with ease, and I absolutely love that about Austin Ekeler. The third player I want to talk about is the Miami Dolphins tight end Mike Gesicki, and the reason why I want to talk about Gesicki is very simple. He's heading into his third year. He's uber athletic. And we even saw this past week with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is a talented pass catcher. The thing with him is he hasn't seen the opportunity. He was drafted as the tight end 12. He's currently being drafted as tight end 11. But it's in the 120 overall. So that's about the 10th round or so in 12-team drafts. That's more than reasonable to spend on a tight end. You're not in the 6th, 7th round reaching for guys who could bust. You're going after a guy with some upside on an ascending offense tailored to a good quarterback who can probably produce for you if he's given the volume. As I said, it's just been a matter of volume. We've seen Devontae Parker get his. Preston Williams has gotten his. Now we need to see Mike Gesicki get his and see what those Dolphins choose to do in the offseason. If they bring in another wide receiver, they could definitely take some targets away from Gesicki, but I think they need to start using him in the red zone more, start using him in the passing game to move the chains because he's going to be deadly up the seams for Tua when they choose to use him in that manner because that's what he did so well at Penn State. That's what he does so well even in the NFL now, and we see him work the sidelines. We can see him catch the ball in the end zone. We see him high point. We see him running over defenders. There's not much that Mike Gesicki can't do, and yet we haven't seen him used in the way we want to see a featured tight end used in the NFL. I think in his third year, it could be the year that we finally see Gesicki really break out in the NFL, and it's a bet I'm willing to make heading into this offseason. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. Drop this video a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for even more great Destination Devy Dynasty content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Team Mac Production.